Hello YouTube, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be reviewing my very own car, a Honda Civic EP3 Type R. Now I've owned this car for 3 years, so I've done a fair few things in it. It's not entirely standard. Obviously if you look in the back there's no interior and whatnot, but I've done the Nürburgring in this car, drove through Europe, around France, drove to Italy in it, fair few track days and whatnot. So there's quite a lot to talk about and a lot to get through. So we'll start. I'll go through the exterior of the car, I'll go through the interior, we'll go for a bit of a drive and whatever else, what it's like to own one of these. So let's get into it. Right then, starting on the front of the car, this one I've got, obviously it's got the fog lights. Not all of them have the fog lights. I've put 6000K LEDs in this and it's got 8000K HIDs, so it's a little bit different to the standard colour lights, but I just think it goes well with the car personally, so I'll put them in. And obviously they're a bit better than the standard headlights. Going through, I still think it's a good looking car. I mean, you get these, people say they look like a piece of cheese and whatnot, but I quite like them. I'm a bit of a fan, so it still looks good in certain angles. I think it's a bit of a timeless shape now. These are standard EP3 alloys. You get these as standard 17 inch. You normally get a 205 40 17 tyre. Now on this one I've had a bit of a setup on it. This is running 215 45s, so they're a bit different, so it does look a bit chunkier, the wheel, more so than a standard car. On these as well, I've had all kinds of the brake setup with them. When I got the car it just had like budget discs and pads on, and the stopping power was horrendous really. So on this one I've got PBS pads on standard calipers with MTEC C-hook discs, and I've got HEL braided brake lines as well, just running standard brake fluid, and the difference is night and day with the braking. I've looked at big brake kits and whatnot for this car, but I'm honestly with the standard setup now I'm very happy with it, so we'll leave it as that. So that's kind of a brake setup I'd recommend really if you're going to get one of these cars. PBS pads as well, they're dusty as anything. I mean, that's clean now, but I probably drove about 2 miles on it, but they're probably the dustiest pads I've ever owned and the noisiest. So if we don't want squealy dusty pads, avoid them, because they're a bit of a pain. But in fairness, they've lasted, and the braking is fantastic. Obviously driving on track as well, no brake fade, nothing like that. But I've ran Odos as well, Brembos, all stuff like that, but as I say, these are the best I've found so far. So on my car I've got this decal. It's a bit of a car group thing, but I don't think it looks too bad, not too fast and furious and anything silly like that. Side profile of the car, this has been lowered as well, by the way. This isn't standard, they don't normally sit this low. This one's lowered on about 30-35mm springs. I'm not too sure. When I got the car it was on the springs, so kind of left it as that. But it sits pretty nice. Obviously on the rear as well, it's got a standard brake setup on the rear. I've never done anything on this. I think it's just got Brembo discs and Brembo pads, so nothing special going on there really. I got these wheels refurbed as well in Amphite grey, so they look just to go with the car really, but I quite like the look. It's one of them. Going through the rear, not really done much to the rear in fairness. It's pretty standard. A lot of people get Mugen spoiler on these, which does look good, but it's just not something I've done to the car as of yet. So it's also got a 2.5 inch Cobra 2.5 inch back box on it, exit, and that's pretty much it for the exterior of the car really. Another thing to mention on these cars as well, the crash bar behind this rear bumper does tend to go rusty. So if you've got one of these cars, take your bumper off, check your crash bar out, because that sometimes needs replacing, or you can refurb it, obviously angle grind it down, rust treat it, whatnot. You can get them for about £80, £85 from Honda or Tegiwa. If you Google them, check them out, they're nice. But as I say, as far as the exterior of the car goes, that's pretty much it. I will mention as well while I'm here, the handbrake on these cars isn't great. On this one itself, I've had both handbrake cables replaced, and I've had all 4 calipers replaced. It's a bit of a known thing on these, as these cars are getting older now. I mean, this is a 15-year-old car. I've had all 4 calipers replaced. They are known for seizing up, especially with the rear ones as well. There's a specific way of setting up the handbrake cables on the calipers, and adjusting and setting your handbrake. It's not just, you don't just put it on normally, because you can seize the air calipers. I don't know the specific way of doing it, but there is a way, so it's probably worth, if you are swapping the rear calipers out on these and messing with your handbrake, have a look at the correct way of adjusting it. But yeah, as I say, as far as the exterior of the car goes, that's pretty much it. I think it's a good looking car, in fairness. I know the FN2, which superseded these, looks a bit something like off Star Wars. I'm not really a fan, but the EP3 itself, I think's in quite a timeless design, quite a nice shape. So yeah, that's pretty much the exterior of the car, really. Onto the interior then. Since this is a Premier Edition car, you get the Momo steering wheel, which is a nice little touch. In here, I've had the dashboard carbon dipped, so normally this is like a silver, but I've done it in the carbon, so just to make it look a bit more fancy, a bit more racy. Done the door cards too. Sorry, door handles. As well, this had a sat-nav unit in it when I got it, which is quite rare on these, but it's something I wanted. Don't know why, because when I got it, it was like Star Wars and bloody Pac-Man, the graphics on it. So we replaced that, swapped that out, and I've put this this Android head unit in it, which is quite nice. Now this is about £150 off eBay. Plug and play, obviously. You've got your radio, you can go through that. It's got Bluetooth, audio, song stream and things like that, and it's got talk as well. This is generally for fault codes, diagnostics, things like that, but it's kind of built in. It's handy, you know, if you have an issue with the car or anything like that. But in essence, it's just an Android head unit. As I say, you've got all your stuff on there, Play Store, things like that. So if you want to download anything, it's all in there. Put a Skunk 2 gear knob as well on this car. Now these are weighted. Believe it or not, these cost £65 for a gear knob, which I thought was absolutely crazy at the time, but I was obviously feeling stupid, done it anyway. And in fairness, it's a fantastic mod on the car. Because of it's a weighted gear knob, it gives you extra weight in shifting, and it just feels so much better compared to the standard one. So that is a mod I would massively recommend. It sounds crazy money, but make sure you get the proper Skunk 2 one, because there's knockoff ones and they aren't standard. They don't have the weight in. I think this weighs about 700 grams or something like that, which is compared to the standard one, it's like 4 times as much. So I've got these suede gaitors on as well. That's just with a touch. Obviously got one here for the handbrake as well. As I mentioned before, this is a Premier Edition car, so you do get these red interior mats. They're not red on the standard non-prem cars. Obviously you get your nice Recaro seats as well. I've put these aftermarket Recaro headrests in, but you do get these Recaro seats. As I say, for the interior, it's pretty basic really. It's obviously I've got aircon, which works, which is a bonus, and old cigarette lighter power outlet here. Glove box. Obviously in here I've just got my GPS for the Android head unit, and I've also got a USB just to plug stuff in, which is quite handy as well, which comes in the Android head unit. So probably a mod worth doing in 2020. It's handy to have a bit of tech. I've also got a few apps on here, like for when I go on track. Track Addict, check that out. It does like lap times, things like that for your circuits and whatnot. So obviously last track day I done was Mallory Park, so that's on there. But yeah, good bit of kit. Apart from that, there's not much to say about the interior really. You get a nice storage compartment down here. Obviously on these cars you have your build number for whatever Honda Civic you've got. Obviously they're all individual. Cup holders in there, tissues full of oil, how nice. Yeah, so cup holders. As I say, this storage compartment's great. You get all kinds in here. It's pretty big, to be fair. Something I do miss on cars. Also as well, another little cup holder here. Oh, sorry, stop the camera. Another cup holder here, which is handy. As I say, you can never have enough cup holders. But for the interior, that's pretty much that. Go for the gearbox in these cars. I think the gearboxes are absolutely fantastic. Now, it's such a weird point. Like, why is the gear knob there? Why is it not here? But if you drive one of these cars, you'll know. It's like rowing a boat, because you've got to change gears so often because of the way they're geared. But as I say, it looks crazy. But drive one of these, you own one, you learn to love it straight away. It's fantastic. Gearboxes in these cars, all the very short throws. As I say, it's not like, you know, it's your small movement and you've changed gear, which you get used to quite quick. It's quite racy. It's good. It's good. Obviously 6 gears as well. But yeah, that's pretty much that for the interior really. Not much to mention. I could go on about the boot, to be fair. The boot in these cars is absolutely massive. I mean, you look at these cars in the exterior and you just wouldn't believe how big the boot is. Obviously we've got the spare wheel under there and some tools and whatnot. Yeah, another thing I should probably mention is these silly bungee straps here. Therefore, I was on a track there the other day. I've just put them into, obviously, I tied stuff to them, stopped it rolling around and whatnot in the back when I was going there. But yeah, sorry, I've stripped the interior out purely for more room. As I say, I'm doing my house, but I went to Wickes the other day. You could get doors in here, literally. It's crazy how big it is. So yeah, I say it's stripped out for weight saving track. This is the second car for me. I only use it for track and obviously a bit of a weekend fun car now. So yeah, that's pretty much that for the interior. But as I say, if I did get one of these again, definitely go for the Premier Edition Recaros because they're really nice seats. Decent lumbar support and they're surprisingly comfy and bolstered as well. So yeah, just another little nice touch. But as I say, as far as the interior goes, I think that's pretty much that. There's not much else to note really. It's not we're not reviewing the new S-Class here, are we? So that's pretty much that. We'll leave it Wouldn't be a Honda video, would it, if I didn't talk about the engine? Now, this engine to me is legendary. The K20A2 Honda K Series. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. These cars run on a throttle cable. It's a 2 litre, 197 brake horsepower, naturally aspirated engine, 4-cylinder. These rev to 8,200 RPM. You're not going to get in many cars unless you're looking like supercar territory that are going to rev to 8,200 RPM. And these absolutely scream. They're great. Absolutely love them, and reliably so as well. Like, it's not often with these cars they break down or people have faults. Generally, I service this car every 6 months. Oil change, put Castrol Edge 5W40 in, do your oil changes, keep on top of all that. This car's not going to let you down. They're fantastic, as I say. I've seen instances where the bottom end's gone on these cars, in fairness, people posting on Facebook and whatnot, but probably down to the previous owners or someone just like, see, you've got to keep an eye on the oil. Oil. Keep your oil good in these and they'll look after you. As I say, it's not often you get a car with 200 horsepower odd, naturally aspirated, revving to 8,200 RPM and is reliable. If you look at these cars on Facebook, Auto Trader, eBay, they've all done high mileage. At this point, you know what I mean, it's not often you see them 150,000 miles, 200,000 miles, and they're still going strong. So testament to the engines really. They are chain driven. The only modification I've got on this engine really is this Tegiwa Airbox here. It gives you a basic better induction noise. If you get these mapped on a K-Pro, K100, obviously it gives you a few more brake horsepower, but nothing really. It's more for the induction noise, and it just sounds great, to be honest. So you can pick these up for about, I don't know, £300, £280 second hand. If you want to get a new one, including the pipework from Tegan and whatnot, you're probably looking at about £400 or £500. They're not cheap, but as I say, they look fantastic. See the mod here, I didn't fit it to this car, so don't be blaming me for the naff fitting, but the previous owner did. Cold air feed, so obviously when you put the bonnet down, it air goes across the bonnet, scoops it in straight into the engine, so it's a nice cold air feed, keeps it breathing well, stops obviously if you put a big cone air filter in the bay, it's just going to soak up hot air in the bay, isn't it? So cold air straight to the engine. It loves the performance. So but yeah, that's pretty much that on these engines. I don't know what else to add. If you've never driven a K series, buy one. They're fantastic. Or if you get to go to driving one, I do recommend it. Great engines. So revs so much the engine, you don't get that often anymore with cars. As I say, so free revving all the way to 8,000 RPM to 8,200, which is pretty cool. But yeah, they handle great as well. This car is on adjustable camber arms and camber bolts at the front, set up by Gridspeed Motorsport. But these cars standard, as I say, they handle fantastically. I think they've got independent rear suspension as well, dual wishbone. That's something the succeeded of this car, the FN2, didn't have. So it had a torsion beam suspension where this is fully independent. So they do handle great. The turning is fantastic. These VTEC kicks in at 6,000 and goes all the way to 8,200. So go around this next corner, I'll see if I can gauge the crossover for you in the video of how it sounds and how it feels. So, switching up. We're at foot to the floor now at 3,000 revs. So, there's the crossover, and all the way to the red line. Pretty nice noise really. Demonstrate it again. So, we're at 3,000. Do a little roll and run for you as well. The thing is with these cars, I've noticed is they're not actually that fast. As I say, you only got up to 7 horsepower. It's just, I can't figure the words for it. It's the atmosphere in these cars that they give with the high revving engine and the VTEC. It just gives you that sense of speed. It feels like you're going so much faster than what you actually are, which is quite funny. But it's something you get used to, something you love in this car when you're driving it. You can't do an empty one, rev the engine more like that, and get into the VTEC. So, the thing is, well, you've got to rev the car to the red line and then shift, because if you don't, you'll drop off the VTEC and then you're not in your power band. So it encourages you to rev the car all the way to the red line and then obviously shift. So it's good fun, as I say, with the manual gearbox as well. You won't, it's not something you get bored of. It's such a fun car to drive. You've just got to have a go in one, and especially on some B roads like that, some twisties, get in one, drive it, and just have fun. But things to focus on these cars, obviously tyres and brakes. Get decent brakes on it, get some sticky tyres, and just go and have fun. But it's so much fun to drive, honestly. I've had this car for ages, and it still makes you smile. So yeah, they're good fun. Definitely recommend one. A few things I want to throw in as well, exactly as what this car's like to live with. Now, I've owned this car for 3 years. I daily drive this car for about 2 years. Cars have moved on a lot in the past 15 or so years since this car come out. Well, more than that, probably nearly a 20-year-old car now. I think these come out in 2001. But it's a bit of a nightmare to daily, in fairness. I've got another car, a Lexus, that I daily now. And every time I get in that, and then come into this, it's like, how did I ever drive this for 2 years? It's pain in the arse. The clutch is so heavy in these cars, or it is in mine. You get used to it. It's one of them, I suppose, when you drive it more, but when you get in these, you're like, bloody hell, this is hard work. MPG, everyone always cares, everyone always asks about MPG. I think the fuel tank in these is about 45 litres, generally about £50 or so to fill up. MPG wise, daily driving, I used to drive to Sinner City and whatnot, I'd get about 180 miles to a full tank, which I think equates to something around 18 MPG. On a run out, doing a bit more motorway driving and whatnot, I'll probably get about 220 miles to a full tank, which is pretty crazy really. I mean, some people will tell you otherwise, but this car, I'd say I've drove it for 3 years and that's how it's always been. 180 to 220 you're getting on a tank. I think if you're doing purely motorway miles you might get more, but it's never really the case in me. So cost a lot on fuel, but it is what it is. It's a fun car, so you know what I mean. You don't buy one of these for fuel economy, so but that's kind of why obviously daily another car as well now. What else can I add about it? Another thing as well, really, because how these cars are, probably why it costs so much in fuel, they rev so high. I mean, you can be doing like 6 gear, 35 mile an hour in this just to keep the revs down, keep your fuel economy down. I mean, you can probably get a little bit more driving it like a granny everywhere, but in the real world doing it, you're not going to do it in this car. You're just not, you're going to have too much fun driving it. You're going to rev it, you're going to drive it hard. It's just how it is. It's a crazy car. It kind of eggs you on to drive fast, and it just makes the VTEC kicks in at 6,000 as well. You obviously, this car revs all the way to 8,200. Not many cars will do that, especially for the price brackets of these cars now. I paid £4,500 for this car in 2017. I think it had 70 something thousand on when I do it, when I bought it. Now you're probably looking at about five grand upwards really for a very sought after Prem edition. The price on these cars is only going up, so it's, I mean, if you can get one, keep the mileage down, look after it, make sure it's a very sorted car. You're probably not going to lose any money. I'd never recommend cars as an investment, so I'm not even going to say buy one as an investment. But another thing I should mention as well is the rust on these cars. Coming up to 20 years old now, a lot of them. When viewing one, have a look at the rear arches. Facelift cars in general have a carpet in the rear arches essentially, which is like the arch liner. All it does is just hold and absorb water. So generally these facelift of these cars is more prone to rust than the pre-facelift. So if you do view a facelift car, have a look at the rear arches. Ideally you would like to think the owners took the rear car arches out. I know I have in this, grinded it down, I do a bit of rust treatment, and I've undersealed them as well. So I just top up the underseal on the arches every year now. But as I say, if you view one of these cars, check out the rear arches. It's generally a place where they go. Apart from that, nothing really else really rust wise. But as I say, they're getting on a bit, these cars, so rust is an issue. Spent a lot of time on this car, probably about 2 weeks over the summer, on axle stands, undersealing it all, rust treating it, making sure it looks right. I'll throw some photos in of that just so you can see how bad the car was, and obviously how it is now. Right, but yeah, that just about sums up this video really. Pretty sure I've covered everything. Probably haven't, there's probably something I missed. I'll get home and I'll be like, I didn't mention that. But yeah, for the minute, I think I've waffled on enough. You're probably sick of listening to me, so yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing some more car reviews shortly. I've got some track footage coming up as well. Track day at Donington next week, so that'll be coming. But yeah, nice one. I'll catch you on the next video.